Yo, what's going on guys, HyperX here, and today I want to talk about Wild Hearts, which is the brand new game from Koei Tecmo and also EA Originals. This was teased a little while back with a rather awesome piece of artwork, and today they dropped the reveal trailer for it, which actually looks pretty awesome. Admittedly, at this stage, we do not have a great deal of information. In fact, the official website is currently, at the time of making this video, blank. It's probably going to be updated by the time I finish this video, in which case I will then probably follow up with another video. However, for the time being, I want to dive in and just go through the trailer because while admittedly, again, we don't necessarily know too much about this game, there are definitely some really cool things about it. Visually, it has a very nice setting. There's some very cool looking creatures, some monsters to fight, there's some cool weapons and some cool gadgets. Basically, there are some things that are pretty interesting in this trailer, and naturally, as a fan of the hunting genre and these kinds of games, I want to talk about it. So if you guys do enjoy this, a like would be super appreciated. Comment down below, let me know what you guys think. Did this interest you? Is it one of those things where you're still on the fence and you need to know more? Either way, let me know your thoughts, and do be sure to keep it locked because as and when we do find out more about this game and invariably see actual gameplay, I will definitely keep you guys posted. So to begin with, of course, it starts off with a few nice sort of environmental shots in this Feudal Japan inspired world. We see a couple of different creatures. We see this sort of interesting rat looking creature with a sort of acorn of sorts on its tail, or like a, I don't know, nut, something, basically a big old club. Either way, sitting there amidst two sort of derelict buildings, and we then turn our attention to kind of like a mix between like a Rajang and a wolf and like a stone monkey thing, but there is of course also a hunter there with a katana by their side. Now the next shot already goes in to show something rather unique, and admittedly at this point in the trailer it didn't sort of give us too much to go on, but we do see a structure of sorts being constructed by the character, which they then use to run up to get much higher up, so they can then jump up and slash at the creature. You can of course also see the tower isn't just a platform, it does also seem to sort of push out a jet of air, so it definitely acts as not just a climbing platform, but also a jump pad for them, which is actually pretty sweet. So we then of course have the logos on screen, and then pans past a few little creatures just inhabiting the world. Again, we get some nice shots. I really do like the visual style for this game. I love games sort of inspired by Feudal Japan. I love all the forests, I love all the sort of gates, the way that everything seems to be a little bit run down, a little bit sort of overgrown. And we of course then have a shot of a hunter looking out over a vast environment. And they then draw an umbrella, which we know later on from the trailer is also a weapon, which is rather cool. It's definitely interesting when you sort of have these kind of games having different kind of weapons that we haven't necessarily used before. We're all used to things like long swords, great swords, hammers, those kinds of things, but I'm always a fan of new styles of weapons. We also see a few different armor sets, and if this is anything like Monster Hunter, given that of course it is in the hunting genre, I would imagine those are sort of indicative of potentially the creatures they may come from. So we do see a rather sort of sinister looking, almost crow-like armor set, so I imagine there's some kind of crow monster as well. Anyway, we then see the hunter seemingly crouching and sort of walking through the grass. That potentially does imply some sort of stealth component as well. And we then see them approaching, let's be honest, the giant bulldrome. It does appear from the sort of trailer, they do refer to these creatures as kimono, but again, until we actually get the website to sort of confirm that, that may well be, I just misheard something. But either way, we do see a little sort of snippet of gameplay, character moving around, the sort of creature doing a big swiping attack. We do see some aerial attacks with that umbrella, the sort of bladed umbrella, and we then see it performing a large AoE attack with roots coming out everywhere. Again, visually, really like this one. We also see the rat with the sort of hammer tail, which also seems to have this ability to sprout a tree out of the ground. So visually, these definitely do have some pretty cool effects. We then see an eagle-like creature taken to the sky. We see a hunter wielding a bow. So again, another style of weapon. We then see the hunter drawing a longsword, katana, that kind of thing. And of course, running with that in one hand. So already we've seen three potentially different weapons, an umbrella, a bow, and a blade. Also, we do see visually some very different monsters. We've seen a bird, a sort of a stone monkey kind of creature, a rat, also a snow wolf, and we also get to see a few different biomes. We've definitely sort of seen foresty areas, some autumnal looking areas, and of course, also snow. Then the trailer cuts over to give us a better look at some of the construction side of things. We see a mysterious character holding this sort of a special glowing cube with these energy strings that seem to come out of them, and it then pans over to this gadget on the hunter's arm, which seems to allow them to construct things. And we then see a few examples. We see that it all begins with this like a mechanical sort of cog style cube, and then of course on one of the examples, the hunter climbs up and it turns into a glider, sort of Breath of the Wild style, which they can then use to actually get closer to the monster. I do sincerely hope this also means that we are then able to mount the monster monsters, a la sort of Dragon's Dogma, that would be incredible if you could actually climb up them, because of course they are actually pretty big. If you look at the sort of monsters side by side with the hunters, they are definitely pretty sizable. So climbing them, grabbing onto them would make sense. We see another use of this sort of interesting mechanical cube, which turns into a hammer, which can then be used as a basically a way to whack the monster, which is really cool. Also, we see a variation, not entirely sure if it's the same blade from before. We do see a katana being drawn from the sheath, and it then opens up into an ivy style whip, which is then used to dish out some pretty devastating damage to the monster. And of course, it then returns to its normal state. So whether that is, say, a combination with one of the new like actual mechanical cube things, or whether that is a style of weapon, maybe it's just like a chain blade, chain sword, we'll of course have to wait and see. Now after that, there is a scene of a hunter or a few hunters running towards a creature. At this current moment, again, at the time of making this video, the website's not updated, so I haven't got the details. I see 3 characters on screen. Invariably, they tend to try and sort of dictate the number of characters in multiplayer based on what they show you in trailers, so I'm going to assume at this current moment in time that this is 3-player multiplayer. If we do see a trailer and they show off more, then maybe it'll increase, but right now we have seen 3 hunters playing together, so it's definitely confirmation that there is multiplayer, and right now I assume that is 3. It's also kind of cool knowing that you can then use these gadgets together. You of course see these 3 hunters fighting this creature. They're all deploying different things. One of them seems to deploy this mine, which of course is then counting down. Creature gets to either side of it, it knocks them down, they go into a sort of down state a la Monster Hunter again, giving you opportunities to do damage. Another nice one seems to be this ability to construct a tether or a binding, which you can then fire into the monster to keep it pinned in place, which again also gives you opportunities for damage. And that is pretty much it, apart from the fact that at the very end of the trailer, they then show off a giant sort of Zora Magdaros scale monster, almost looks like a sort of bear clad in rocks. So it definitely gives us a sense of scale, because we're going to be fighting some pretty ginormous creatures in this game. Also, they confirmed it's coming on February 17th. So, for the time being, that is pretty much it. That's what we have on the game so far. Again, from the reveal trailer, it definitely has me interested. Obviously, at this stage, it's far too early to know if it's actually really good. There are, of course, plenty of questions. We actually need to go hands-on, try it for ourselves. But I will say, setting-wise, theme-wise, just the sort of visual presentation, all that stuff definitely does interest me. And again, as a fan of these kinds of games, I'm definitely going to check it out. So, if you guys do want to find out more, do be sure to keep it locked, because we will be covering this game once we do get to go hands-on with it and sort of show some stuff to you guys. So until then, stay tuned. If you've missed some of our recent videos, you can check out one of these ones and keep it locked for plenty more.